the United Nations to begin offloading oil from decaying Safar tanker. Journalists in Yemen remain under attack and face life-threatening work conditions. Hard living conditions push Yemenis into small projects to provide for their families. Good evening. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. I am Abir Ali and you're watching the English news. The United Nations announced that the ship Nautica has started sailing from Djibouti to heading to Yemen. This indicates the start of oil transfer from Safar tanker. Despite this major development, the UN keeps warning the risk of such operation. This report has more.
The replacement vessel Nautica sailed from Djibouti on its way to safer location, while making significant progress in the UN-led mission to stop a large oil spill from the FSO Safer supertanker off the coast of Yemen in the Red Sea. According to the UN, the operation to stop a harmful Red Sea spill will permit the transfer of crude oil from the vessel. Since Yemen's civil war broke out more than 8 years ago, the 47-year-old FSO Safer, which was once utilized as a floating storage platform but is now abandoned off of the Yemeni port of Hodeidah, has not been maintained. The UN reported that all technical planning and agreements have been completed. The oil on board the Safer will be pumped out in a ship-to-ship transfer once the replacement vessel shows up. This procedure is anticipated to take roughly 2 weeks to complete. Since arriving to the scene on May 30, the salvage company SMID has stabilized the Safer. The UN Development Program, which hired SMID, is carrying out the oil removal operation. The UNDP administrator said, "We anticipate the Safer's oil remover to start sometime in the upcoming week, now that Nautica is on its way." For the numerous individuals who have devoted countless hours to this challenging undertaking over months and years to get us to this point, eliminating the threat that Safer poses will be a major accomplishment. We won't stop working until the danger is eliminated and the operation is about to get underway, he added. For years, the UN has been trying to find a solution for the tanker, but the Houthis' control in the country has made it difficult for the organization to solve this issue. The UN has labeled Safer tanker as a deteriorating and dilapidated supertanker due to its serious risks, as any time there could be an explosion or an oil spill. Not only this, but a major spill would destroy fishing communities in Yemen's Red Sea coast, leading to the loss of fish stocks, taking 25 years to recover. Since the start of the conflict in 2014, Houthis have been blocking UN attempts to inspect and maintain the vessel.
This is what the long journey was all about. The Safar sitting just off the coast of Hodeidah with a dangerous load. The operation will start tomorrow to make the Safar safe, to pump its oil and to clean the Safar for scrapping. We have arrived, with thanks to all our partners and donors, particularly thanks to the government of Yemen. The Safar is the biggest environmental threat to the Red Sea at the moment. We are on our way to pump the oil from this dangerous ship with the help of this Endeavour ship that I'm on. The Nautica, our second ship, the tanker, will come to the side of this ship and SMID Salvage will pump the oil from one into the other.
The UN Special Envoy met with the representatives of the National Alliance parties in Jordan earlier this week. Discussions focused on the importance of resuming the political process and explored ways to address the immediate priorities while ensuring long-term solutions can meet the aspirations of Yemenis. Grandberg met also with the representatives of the Southern Transitional Council and discussed the efforts and challenges to resume the political process. Massam carried out an operation to destroy mines, explosive devices and unexploded ordnance in Bab el-Mandab. The media center of Massam stated that the field engineering teams managed to destroy and detonate about 1,878 Houthi mines. The center stated that the explosive materials destroyed on Thursday are the results of what the project teams removed during the past week from a number of roads. Journalists and media professionals in Yemen continue to remain under attack. The union issued a statement saying that journalists face life-threatening work conditions, especially in the Houthi-controlled areas. This report has more.
The Yemeni Journalists Syndicate has released a report detailing 40 media infractions, including journalist assaults. The YJS recorded 8 arrests of journalists, 8 incidents of targeted threats, and 3 physical attacks on journalists in a recent report. The syndicate has called for an end to the culture of impunity, blaming Houthis for 55% breaches and the Yemeni government for the remainder. The research emphasized the harsh circumstances that media professionals face, as well as the dangers to their safety. In a prisoner swap in April, 4 Yemeni journalists were freed from death row. The International Federation of Journalists, the YJS, and the NUJ had all urged officials to guarantee the men's release, while working to draw attention to claims of torture the men had endured. According to the YJS, at least 5 journalists remain imprisoned in Yemen, and both the NUJ and the IFJ have urged the Yemeni government and other armed groups to free all jailed media workers. The syndicate's union headquarters in Aden has been under the grip of Transnational Council since late February and has yet to be restored. The IFJ's General Secretary has also denounced the inhumane conditions in which journalists and media workers must work in Yemen, risking their safety and lives in order to inform the people. The IFJ repeated its call for all release of all detained colleagues and asked the Yemeni authorities to follow the recommendations made in the report by its affiliate. The wave of violence against the press and journalists continues in the Houthi militia-controlled areas in all its forms. This wave has become a prevalent approach in Sana'a, but in the rest of the regions it is less severe, where journalists can go out, at least to express the rejection of oppression or to demand their rights. But the whole story of the press in Yemen is that its workers' jobs are suspended, their salaries are suspended, and their freedom is no longer accessible.
The deputy head of this General People's Congress branch in Taz was attacked and his car was looted by force. Local sources confirmed that he was subjected to looting and armed robbery in front of the security forces, who went to protect him after a report was submitted to the police station. According to the sources, the official was attacked by gunmen affiliated with the army, and the security services in the governorate did not deal with the incident properly. In Taz, activities on the passage of 3,000 days of the Houthi siege on the city continue. Dozens of citizens organized a human chain stretched east of the city in protest against the continuation of the Houthi blockade imposed on the city. Those activities aim to highlight the suffering of the people that has been going on for 8 years in light of the international lack of seriousness in forcing the militia to lift the siege.
We call on the United Nations Special Envoy to pressure the Houthis to lift the siege on Taiz without imposing any conditions. We also call on the international community to deal with Taiz issue as a humanitarian one, not as a political issue, as the Houthi militia keeps blackmailing this issue in international negotiations.
3,000 days of siege, and the city is suffering of the war calamities, including the economic siege and blockade on women and patients. Where is the role of the international community towards unarmed citizens?
Deputy Minister of Planning and International Cooperation discussed in the interim capital with OSHA team a number of issues related to humanitarian aid. The two sides discussed the importance of continuing communication and coordination between the government sides and regional and international partners. The Yemeni officials said that reducing humanitarian aid and reducing the percentage of funding for implemented projects is not commensurate with the nature of the coordination and conditions the country is going through. A woman and her son were killed in a Houthi artillery shelling on the civilian area in Taz Governorate. Local sources said that the militia bombed civilian villages in Haifan district in parallel with similar shelling on the contact line north of Lahj. They added that the bombing targeted the house of a citizen, killing his wife and son on the spot, while the neighboring houses were subjected to material damage. A woman and her son were killed by artillery shelling by the Houthi militia, which targeted populated areas north of Lahj. Local sources reported that artillery shelling targeted a number of citizens' homes located on the administrative borders. The sources added that a mortar shell fell during the bombing on the house, which led to the death of his wife and his son. The 9-year conflict continues to cast shadow on the lives of Yemenis. Due to hard living conditions, residents of Marib stated small projects as help to provide their families. This report has more details.
The deterioration of the economic situation in the country, the spread of poverty, and the lack of job opportunities prompted many young men and women to start small commercial projects as means of survival and self-sufficiency amid the 9-year war in the country. The conflict in Yemen has led to the increase of poverty and unemployment. Abdurrahman is a young man who opened his small project for coffee in the city of Marib to help him provide for his family.
المشروع هذا هو يعني كان عائل بالنسبة لي وحل لي مشكلة مادية.
This project solved my financial problems. It also gave me the ability to provide job for others.
Abdurrahman is not the only person that started his own business, but women have also been affected by the war, which made them resort to start their projects. Iman is a girl that started her own business in order to provide for herself and her family.
My
project helped me provide for myself, and now I'm also able to help my family. It's also proved that women can be financially stable with their own businesses.
The percentage of Yemeni families suffering from poverty reached 51.4%. According to the United Nations reports, the war in Yemen destroyed the economy of the country. Small projects in the country help citizens to provide for their families and themselves, and it also helps them have a source of income.
Coming up in the news. Ancient Yemeni stone bombs face the risk of being lost due to government neglect. Welcome back. Thousands of stone tombs in Marib, which are part of Yemen's rich heritage, face the risk of being lost and depleted due to the government neglect. More on this story is in this report.
When it comes to historical monuments and archaeological sites, Yemen may be one of the world's wealthiest nations. Due to their construction techniques and distinctive designs, the monuments in Marib Governorate have withstood the test of time, neglect, and corrosion, despite being thousands of years old. These stone tombs were erected thousands of years ago, fashioned in the form of circular towers using flat stones. They date back to the end of the 4th millennium BC, that is 5,000 years ago. According to a French study conducted in the year 2000, these graves indicate that mankind has traversed the Ma'rib Desert since ancient times.
The stone tombs extend over the Ruwayq mountain range and the Sabbatain desert, and they can be traced back to the Bronze Age. These tombs are unique for the way they appear during sunset, comprising an integral part of the World Heritage List.
7 archaeological sites make up the landmarks of the ancient kingdom of Saba Ma'rib, a series property that documents the wealthy kingdom of Saba's achievements in architecture, art, and technology from the 1st millennium BCE to the arrival of Islam in the year 630 CE.
These monuments are magnificent, inherited from past generations. Today, we witness the pilfering and destruction of these grand structures amid government neglect. We call upon relevant authorities and government officials to direct sufficient attention to these vital sites.
In January, the World Heritage Committee used an emergency procedure to inscribe the landmarks of the ancient kingdom of Saba Ma'rib on the list of World Heritage in danger due to threats of destruction from the ongoing conflict.
3 fishermen died as a result of the sinking of commercial ship they were on board off the coast of Aden Gamarat. Shipping sources said that a commercial ship near the coast of the city of Shukra with 5 fishermen on board, 3 of whom died, while the condition of the other 2 is still critical. The sources stated that the ship was on its way from the coast of the city of Aden to Socotra Island before it sank off the coast of Shukra as a result of the wind. The national currency continues to drop amid total government inaction to intervene. Angry rallies took the streets of Aden protesting the government failure to tackle this issue. The following report has more.
On Wednesday, protests erupted in numerous Yemeni cities controlled by the internationally recognized Yemeni government as the rial hit a new low. The rial fell to 1,500 per dollar in Aden and other cities, falling from 1,300 in May and ending months of stability. In Aden and Al-Mukalla, angry protesters obstructed essential roads and set tires on fire, while companies, exchange firms, and stores suspended their services in protests at the currency collapse. Local trade unions and internet users have encouraged massive civil disobedience and protests in regions under government control until the Yemeni government steps in to stop the depreciation of the rial. Several protesters were murdered in earlier rallies in Al-Mukalla and Aden in clashes with local security forces. The Yemeni rial had been trading at 1,200 per dollar since early 2022, when the Presidential Leadership Council was founded and the government returned to Aden. After Saudi Arabia declared a $1 billion deposit with the National Bank, the currency gained even more momentum. However, once Yemeni peace talks faltered, the value of the rial began to fall in May, hitting a new low of 1,300 per dollar. In a meeting with the French ambassador to Yemen on Wednesday, the council's head Rashad Al-Alimi pledged to control the currency markets and stop the rial's decline. The central bank in Aden closed illegal money exchange businesses during previous rounds of currency depreciation, threatening to suspend businesses that do not abide by its rules, and providing local traders with dollars so they could import goods and gasoline. According to experts, Houthi drone strikes on oil installations and the suspension of oil exports have driven the government to the verge of bankruptcy. As a result, the government has few alternatives for resolving the currency problem, asking Saudi Arabia and other donors for an additional financial package.
Here is a reminder of the main headlines. The United Nations to begin offloading oil from decaying Safar tanker. Journalists in Yemen remain under attack and face life-threatening work conditions. Hard living conditions push Yemenis into small projects to provide for their families. This is the end of the news. It was Abir Ali, and thank you for watching.